Reuben Ellington walks into the Grand Plaza Hotel with his daughter, tired clothes, calm demeanor. Front desk manager Mackenzie Stewart barely looks up before dismissing him. There's been a problem with your reservation. They thought he was just another out-of-place guest. What they didn't know, he owns the entire Platinum Hotel Group. One phone call, one viral video, one corporate reckoning. Stick around, because when the man they shamed turns out to be the one signing their paychecks, the lobby's marble floors won't be the only thing cracking. They judged a book by its cover. Now the cover story is exposing them all. We'd love to know where in the world you're tuning in from and what time it is there. Comment below and subscribe to stay updated. The polished brass name tag reading Mackenzie Stewart gleams under the Grand Plaza's crystal chandelier as I straighten my perfectly pressed blazer. 15 years of protecting these marble halls has taught me everything about who truly belongs here. The Service Excellence pin weighs reassuringly against my chest, a testament to my impeccable judgment in screening guests. The shabby-looking man and teenager approaching my counter send warning signals through my practiced instincts. Their reservation may be confirmed, but something about them strikes a discordant note in my carefully orchestrated lobby. Each of their footsteps across the marble floor echoes like an intrusion, an offense against the refined atmosphere I've spent years cultivating. "I'm sorry, sir, but there seems to be an issue with your booking." The words roll off my tongue with well-practiced authority as I look down at them from behind my elevated desk. A notification flashes briefly on my phone. Something about Hotel Karen trending at a nearby establishment. I dismiss it with a flick of my perfectly manicured finger. Such things don't concern me. I'm simply maintaining standards. The man, Reuben Ellington according to the reservation, draws himself up taller. There must be some mistake. I confirmed personally this morning. His voice carries an educated tone that doesn't match his worn jacket, making my certainty waver for just a moment. I finger my name tag, drawing strength from its authoritative presence. Our system is showing some irregularities. The lie comes smoothly practiced over countless similar encounters. "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the Holiday Inn down the street." His daughter's eyes flash with something dangerous. Recognition, perhaps. She's pulling out her phone, and my stomach tightens slightly as I notice her hitting record. But I've come too far to back down now. "I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to leave. Do you know who my father is?" The girl's voice carries a quiet confidence that sends an unexpected chill down my spine. A nearby guest gasps, phone already raised. "Security." I call out, my voice carrying across the lobby, but as Officer Thompson approaches, he hesitates, recognition dawning on his face as he looks at Mr. Ellington. "Ms. Stewart." A sharp voice cuts through the growing tension. I turn to see Charles Montgomery, our hotel owner, striding across the lobby. "Mr. Ellington owns the Platinum Hotel Group. He's here to finalize our merger." The marble floor seems to tilt beneath my feet. My golden pin suddenly feels like it's burning through my blazer as cameras flash. I catch a glimpse of my phone. Carter Grand Plaza shame is already trending. Have you felt your perfect world crumble? The thought echoes through my mind as I stand frozen watching everything I've built begin to collapse. Have you ever been so certain only to discover your certainty was nothing but prejudice in disguise? I grip the edge of my desk, my knuckles white against the polished wood. The chandelier light that once felt like my spotlight now feels like an interrogation lamp, exposing every flaw in my carefully constructed facade of authority. Type shame if you've ever witnessed someone's power crumble in the face of truth. The question haunting me now isn't about who belongs here. It's about how I belonged here for so long, wielding my authority like a weapon. As Mr. Ellington's daughter's video begins its viral spread, I realize my real judgment day is just beginning. My name tag catches the light one final time, no longer a symbol of authority, but a marker of shame. In the reflection of my computer screen, I see what others must have seen all along. Not a guardian of standards, but something far more disturbing. And the truly terrifying part. Until this moment, I was absolutely certain I was right. Mackenzie Stewart straightens her golden guest relations manager. Pin a practiced motion that usually steadies her nerves. 20 years of experience has taught her to trust her instincts about people who don't belong in the Grand Plaza Hotel. The fountain's rhythmic cascade should be soothing, but today each droplet sounds like a questioning whisper. "I'm simply following protocol," she mutters, fingers hovering over the keyboard as she pretends to verify the reservation again. Her training manual sits in her desk drawer, its pages worn from years of selective interpretation. The section on guest verification procedures never explicitly mentions race or class, but the subtle coding is clear in phrases like maintaining our established clientele's comfort and preserving the hotel's prestigious atmosphere. A memory surfaces, her first week of training 15 years ago. "Your judgment is your greatest asset," Marcus, her mentor, had said, polishing his own pin. "Some people just aren't Grand Plaza material." She'd nodded eagerly, then, desperate to prove herself worthy of the position. Now his words echoed differently, carrying a weight she'd never noticed before. The lobby's marble floors reflect Reuben Ellington and his daughter with perfect clarity. Their patience radiates a dignity that makes Mackenzie's carefully constructed justifications feel increasingly hollow. She catches herself touching her pin again, this time not for reassurance, but as if it burns, as Ms. Stewart. Her assistant's voice breaks through her thoughts. "CNN is online too. They're asking about trending social media posts regarding a discrimination incident." Mackenzie's screen fills with notifications. A video is circulating, her interaction with the Ellingtons captured from multiple angles. The hashtag #Grand Plaza Shame is gaining momentum. Her fingers tremble as she scrolls through comments dissecting her every micro-expression, her tone, her body language. A research paper appears in her feed, Implicit Bias in Luxury Hospitality, a Systematic Review. The abstract discusses how subtle discriminatory practices become institutionalized through unofficial, standard procedures. Her own decisions viewed through this lens begin to form a pattern she can no longer ignore. She opens her guest rejection log, a private record she's kept meticulously, believing it demonstrated her attention to detail. The data tells a different story, now one that makes her stomach clench. The reasons for denial follow a clear pattern she'd never allowed herself to see. The fountain's splash becomes deafening as she recalls similar scenes. A celebrated author turned away last month. A tech entrepreneur questioned last week. Each time she'd hidden behind policy and procedure. Each time her pin had gleamed with authority as she'd made her decisions. "Have you experienced a moment when your certainty crumbles?" she whispers to her reflection in the polished desk surface. "When everything you thought you knew starts to feel like a carefully constructed lie." Her niece's graduation photo sits on her desk. Maya, brilliant and ambitious, heading to law school in the fall. The same quiet dignity she sees in Ellington's daughter shines in Maya's eyes. The parallel hits her like a physical blow. Type "truth hurts" if you've ever had to face your own biases. The sound of her assistant clearing their throat brings another update. The hotel's corporate office is launching an investigation into guest acceptance patterns across all properties. Mackenzie's detailed logs will provide perfect evidence against herself. Her pin catches the light, no longer a symbol of authority, but a weight pulling her toward a truth she's spent years avoiding. The fountain's splash now sounds like judgment, each drop eroding the foundation of certainty she'd built her career upon. Officer Mackenzie Stewart's fingers trembled as she refreshed her phone screen for the 100th time, each notification piercing her carefully maintained facade. The brass name pin that had always felt like a crown of authority now burned against her chest, a constant reminder of her monumentally misplaced judgment. The Grand Plaza's magnificent fountain, once her favorite sound in the lobby, now seemed to mock her with each echoing splash. "Ma'am, CNN is on line 3, her assistant whispered, avoiding eye contact. Mackenzie's throat constricted as she watched the security footage play yet again on the lobby's mounted television. Her own face twisted in that horrible expression of superiority as she dismissed Reuben Ellington and his daughter. The hashtag Grand Plaza Shame crawled across the bottom of the screen like an accusing finger. She clutched her phone, scanning through an endless stream of comments. "Just found out the Grand Plaza turned away my cousin last month, too," one read. "Same front desk manager, same attitude." Another former employee here. Mackenzie Stewart's instincts were always about prejudice, never security. The morning's crisp certainty had dissolved into a suffocating afternoon of revelations. Each passing hour brought new stories, new accusations, new evidence of her bias. Her carefully constructed world of authority and control was crumbling like the expensive marble facade she'd once proudly policed. "Ms. Stewart." A voice made her jump. Corporate security stood at her desk, faces grim. "We need access to your incident reports, all of them." Their presence confirmed her growing dread. This wasn't going away. This wasn't just another difficult guest she could dismiss and forget. Her hands shook as she unlocked the files, each report now reading like a confession. How many others had she turned away based on nothing but her own prejudiced assumptions? The weight of years of unchecked power pressed down on her shoulders as she watched her colleagues whisper and dart glances in her direction. The truth about Reuben Ellington crashed through her defenses like a wrecking ball. Ex-Marine, philanthropist, hotel chain owner. Everything she thought she knew, everything she believed about her ability to read people, lay shattered at her feet. Her authority, once absolute, now felt like a house of cards in a hurricane. "The board is convening an emergency meeting," her supervisor informed, her voice cold. "Mr. Ellington's legal team has requested all security footage from the past year." Mackenzie Stewart touched her name pin, once her symbol of power, now feeling like a brand of shame. The fountain's endless splash seemed to whisper, "What else will they find? What else have you done?" Type "truth hurts" if you've ever watched someone's power crumble. The past 6 hours had stripped away every layer of her professional armor, leaving her exposed to the harsh light of truth. As she watched another news crew set up outside, Mackenzie Stewart finally understood. She wasn't protecting the hotel. She had become everything she claimed to stand against, and now the whole world would know. Officer Bradley Larson removes his polished badge, the metal cold against his palm. The precinct's hallway stretches before him like an endless tunnel, each step echoing his diminishing authority. The security footage playing on every screen in the break room shows his moment of shame on repeat. His confrontation with Judge Monroe, now a viral sensation under Tuchon, Larson falls. His hands tremble as he approaches the disciplinary hearing room. Through the glass, he sees Judge Monroe sitting beside the police commissioner, their faces grave. The weight of 2 decades of unchecked power crashes down as reality sets in. This isn't just another complaint he can brush aside. "You look different without your badge, Larson," Officer Chen whispers as she passes her former respect replaced with barely concealed satisfaction. Bradley Larson's stomach churns. He'd threatened to end her career last year when she questioned his methods. The door's hinges creak as he enters, the sound piercing like an accusation. Judge Monroe's eyes meet his, carrying the same quiet dignity that had unsettled him during their confrontation. "Officer Bradley Larson." The commissioner begins, "Your actions have forced us to confront a culture of intimidation that can no longer be ignored." Larson's prepared defense evaporates as security footage plays on the wall screen. Every abuse of power, every threat, every moment of unchecked arrogance captured in high definition. His phone buzzes incessantly with notifications as Tobuch Larson Falls continues trending each ping, a reminder of his crumbling empire. "I thought I was untouchable," he finds himself saying, voice cracking. "Every complaint dismissed, every witness silenced. I believed the badge made me right." His fingers trace the empty spot on his uniform where the badge once sat. Judge Monroe speaks her words, measured. "The system that protected you is being dismantled, Officer Larson. Your actions didn't just harm individuals. They poisoned the very institution you swore to serve." A young officer, one whose career he'd threatened last month, enters with handcuffs. The metal clicks shut around his wrists, the sound echoing through the room like a final verdict. As he's led out, he catches his reflection in the precinct's glass walls. Not the powerful figure he'd imagined himself to be, but a man stripped of the authority he'd abused for so long. "Share this moment," Judge Monroe says to the room of officers watching, not for vengeance, but as a promise that change is possible. Bradley Larson's head bows as the elevator doors close, knowing his fall will become a lesson for every officer who follows. Drop 1. Chapter 1. If you believe one person's courage can transform a system, share this video to show that for justice wins. The narrative maintains focus on Officer Bradley Larson's perspective throughout using his full name consistently and showing his emotional journey from defiance to recognition of his wrongs. The story incorporates viral elements, sensory details, and the badge motif while advancing the timeline within the specified period. Mackenzie Stewart stares at her reflection in the polished marble of the Grand Plaza Hotel's front desk, her hands tracing the empty spot where her old service pin used to rest. The morning light streams through the lobby's windows, casting long shadows across the space where just 24 hours ago her world had shattered and reformed. "The thing about power," she whispers to herself, watching a new family approach the desk, "is how it blinds you to your own darkness." Her fingers brush against the new pin on her lapel. Dignity for all. The metal still unfamiliar, still a reminder of her transformation. The lobby fountain's steady splash echoes through the space, each droplet like a time stamp marking the moments since her confrontation with Reuben Ellington. She remembers how she'd stood here, rigid, with misplaced authority, making assumptions that now burn in her memory like brands. A notification lights up her phone. Another reshare of Hotel Humility, now approaching 10 million views. The video captures her moment of realization the exact second when Mr. Ellington revealed not just his identity, but the mirror to her soul. She doesn't minimize the window anymore. Instead, she lets it play, using it as a reminder. "Welcome to the Grand Plaza." She greets the approaching family, her voice carrying a warmth that would have been unrecognizable yesterday. Their diversity reminds her of the training session she'd just led this morning, where she'd shared her story with tears in her eyes. The fountain's sound suddenly shifts, and Mackenzie looks up to see Mr. Ellington crossing the lobby with his daughter. He catches her eye, and she feels the weight of their shared understanding. Yesterday's victim has become today's teacher. "Miss Stewart," he says, approaching the desk. "I've just finished reviewing the new training program proposal. Your suggestions were invaluable." Her throat tightens. "I never thought I'd be helping design inclusivity training, Mr. Ellington, especially not after yesterday." He smiles. "Sometimes our greatest mistakes become our most powerful teachers." Mackenzie opens her drawer, touching the old service pin inside, the one she'd polished so proudly for years, believing it marked her authority rather than her responsibility. "I kept this," she says, "to remember, Every time I doubt, every time I might slip back into old patterns, I look at it and hear your words. The fountain's splash seems to grow louder as she continues her confession. I used to think excellence meant protecting our standards. Now I understand it means protecting human dignity. Her phone buzzes again. Another comment on the viral video. This is what real change looks like. Hotel humility. Toward dignity for all. Type 1. If this story changed how you see service. She reads aloud, her voice thick with emotion. Share if you believe in second chances. Mr. Ellington's daughter approaches, holding up her own phone. The training video we made together has reached every major hotel chain, Miss Stewart. Your story is changing policies nationwide. Mackenzie straightens her new pin, feeling its weight. Lighter than the old one, yet somehow more significant. Yesterday, I stood here thinking I was protecting this hotel's reputation. Today, I'm helping build its legacy. The fountain's melody fills a moment of silence as she watches another family enter, their faces bright with expectation. This time she sees them, really sees them, as Mr. Ellington's words echo in her mind. Change begins with choosing to see people, not assumptions. Share this moment, she whispers to herself. Not because it shows my fall, but because it shows how we all can rise. The morning sun catches her new pin, sending ribbons of light dancing across the marble desk. Mackenzie Stewart, former guardian of prejudice turned champion of change, welcomes another guest with a smile that reaches her eyes that now see humanity first without exception. Drop if you believe everyone deserves dignity. She types in the comments of her own viral video. Because sometimes the greatest truth is the one that humbles us most. The fountain splashes on its rhythm, now a melody of transformation, as Mackenzie Stewart embraces her new role, not as a gatekeeper, but as a gateway to change.